I'm just going to get a sense, I'm going to do another poll with the audience. So we're going to send out another vote if we could set that up. And it's quite a fundamental question, this. It's about how confident are you in the viability of the business model of your company, given the sort of trends that we've heard about and talked about today and your own experiences. So let's have a look at the results. So you've had a chance to vote, about 300 people here. How economically viable is, well, okay, it's a good, the last point is good. 1% saying we don't know, we're not discussing business models. That's good to hear. Yeah, very viable. There's no need to change a fundamental business model, just optimize it. So very few people believe that. Now you've got here, well, 92% of people saying not viable or quite viable. And most of 55% saying we need to augment our core business model with some new business model ideas. Guess that's why we're here today. But still, you know, over 30% saying we won't survive unless we fundamentally transform the business model. Just want to get your thoughts on that. So, Omar, you deal with companies like these the whole time. Does that surprise you? Would you agree with? Is that what you hear from your clients?
Actually, I'm a little bit surprised. Because when I talk to CEOs, they're less confident than that.
Yes, exactly. And that, the poll I showed earlier on was that from a CEO vote. Yeah.
Yeah, they are generally seeing, you know, future trouble because they obviously spend a lot of time forecasting their financials.
Yes.
And you know, the question is, where does future profit growth come from? And now, I mean, in that first point, it says with some changes in the business model. So every CEO I've been to has been to Shenzhen, they've been to Berlin, they've been to Silicon Valley. They found the new in their sector. They know what it is. The question is how to bake that into the business. And so scaling the new, I talked about earlier, is very hard, and everyone spends a lot of time talking about that. But also the point about how do you drive innovation back into the core business. And one of the lessons we've learned, particularly actually from consumer goods industries, is even when I've seen the new, it turns out my current business model won't deliver it. I have to fundamentally change the operating model, the business model, in order to deliver those new services and new products. And so that could be, you know, playing with the core business and altering it.
And then, Eric, you were talking about a fresh perspective needed for companies. I mean, again, how would you review that result there?
Well, in a way, I agree with Omar that that's not what most CEOs would say. But on the other hand, maybe it's not surprising that people often get blindsided by these new approaches. And I think that there are 55, maybe 65% of the people here who aren't fully appreciating the challenge that is ahead of us right now. And too often that happens. You look historically, like the example I gave of the electric dynamo, people didn't realize that there's a whole new way of doing business that had to be thought of. And they probably would have voted and said, you know, our steam engine and connection system works just fine for electricity as well. I think that the lesson we see time and time again is that you do need new business models, and they aren't visible in advance. You have to work very hard to understand them. And I'm glad you guys are doing the platform conference here to help make it a little bit more visible.
Great, thank you. And Andres, any comments on that from your perspective?
Yeah. It's good. People, they know what they have to do, but in my everyday work, I have to deal with people who really know that their business model is not sustainable at all, but it's very difficult to change this business model, existing business model, even if knowing that it's not sustainable at all. And many of those people, of course, they say that, no, our business model is the best one in the world, that it worked for centuries and it has to stay for next centuries. So, yeah, this is the biggest challenge for me, to deal with those people who are defending those unsustainable business models.
I mean, just a final point on that. I mean, I don't know how many people saw Jeff Bezos the other day. So the founder and CEO of Amazon said that he didn't expect Amazon to be around forever. It was not too big to fail, and most companies last about 30 years.
Right, okay.
So if he's thinking that...
Yeah, very interesting. Great, well, could we say thank you to the panelists for their excellent contribution today? Thank you very much. Thank you, that's wonderful.